Hello to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about why Jazz Jennings and their entire fucked up family all belong in federal prison right now for a various myriad of crimes and felonies, up to and including child abuse in multiple cases. So basically, I actually went mini viral on Twitter last night. Because I was going to do this video, honestly, today. I said I was going to stream here today. And somebody responded back to me a couple hours ago and it's like, dude, you'll end up in prison before they do or whatever. And it's like, for what? For having the freedom of speech to call out disgusting child abusive behavior when I see it? Or is it for another federal swatting by some douchebag fucking leftist supporters over some shit that was said? Because that's the thing, right? That's what got me in trouble back in 2019. It was, saying some stuff and then not realizing I said the shit months before that in the video, and then, of course, making the whole thing. But yeah, when you had the FBI agents out here, legitimately, and I still have, the card sitting here right now. I have little Timmy's card right there. So, go ahead and just take that out right there. Show you guys. Department of Justice there. That was left for me at my back door that day. They were banging on my window over here and banging on my window over there and then banging on my back door and pretty much trying to knock it down, it seemed like, over what amounted to a bunch of thought crimes and a bunch of what-if scenarios. So, yeah, bunch of shit entirely. When they told me as they were leaving, turned back and looked at me and was like, we wasted 6 days on this? Well, they could have been catching actual fucking terrorists in the state of Ohio, by the way. While they could have been dealing with Islamic terrorism down in Columbus, or up here even in Canton and stuff like that, dude. But yet, no, because they'll go after the white guy who says wrong things and has wrong think in their fucking opinions because they're a bunch of goddamn Nazi-ass, jackbooted fucking thugs. It's fucked up, man. And mind you, that was Trump's administration. That happened during Trump's administration in this country. And people are finally just now waking up to the fact the FBI is one of the most corrupt-ass alphabet fuckboy organizations in the entire country currently, dude. I've known that for 4 years now. So, anyway. Needless to say, going back to the whole Jazz Jennings thing, apparently Jazz was trending again last night on Twitter. I think that's why I kind of got mini viral there, is what it was, like 60 people like the tweet and retweeted a couple of them retweeted the stuff is what it was. And I think the reason is it because it was basically fell into the Jennings trend is what it was then. And so apparently, I guess it's going on Jazz Jennings most recently is that they're trying to claim that now they're pansexual. It's like, dude, you're just a straight dude who your fucked up parents convinced was a girl and then sat there. And because they wanted to do money grabs, legitimately, they turned you into a fucking pseudo-female at that point, or as close to it as you could be at that point, because you can't obviously give birth to a child is what it is. You have no ovaries, etc., biologically. And what's even more fucked up to me, actually, is, because I think I talked about this a little bit, but I don't think I ever talked about like this part of it now. But I know Tim Pool and a couple of people have now more recently, is when Jazz actually had his first bottom surgery, that kid was 17 years old. That alone should see his parents in federal prison for that alone, dude. As well as the doctors that did the shit, because they're doing it on a minor. Like, you're literally having a minor who cannot consent being given a procedure that should not be done to create a fake vagina for them. And when TLC showed that shit, and I actually watched that, I watched most of that season of that show, actually. And when they're literally sitting there, and they're like, oh, we don't have enough material to make this thing, because you put this kid on puberty blockers when they were like fucking 5. So you had like this much material of a teeny little baby dick, where a child never went through puberty, they never got actual male testosterone in their system at all. And so what you ended up having was, and this is something even the one trans doctor that did the surgery who was a dude who's now living the life as a trans woman, is what it is, admitted straight up after the fact in like multiple interviews now over the past couple of years that because Jazz never actually had a male puberty, that kid can never experience an orgasm in their life ever. And it's the same thing with any of these other kids. They put on puberty blockers way too young and block them from actually having male puberty or female puberty, whichever it was, depending on, you know, whichever way these fucked up Munchausen syndrome by proxy parents want to change their kid's gender is what it is now. If they have a daughter, they want to change it to a son. Or if they have a son, they want to change it to a daughter then. And that's the problem, is you are completely erasing an entire generation of children right now from ever experiencing happiness, from ever experiencing the joys of having their own children in the future. And you're creating this total lost generation of sterilization. And that's why, honestly, when the history books are written in 10, 15 years from now, people will look back at the 2010s and the 2020s, and you will have a whole big ass, like several pages in that book that just talks about generation sterilization and how these kids were just sterilized and how they were never able to have kids of their own after the fact and never able to live normal lives because at, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14, whatever it was, if they were a chick, they were given double mastectomies and told they were a dude, put on testosterone, fucked up their hormone system entirely to where they can never have kids now. Or if they were a dude, all of a sudden you tell them they're a chick, and you're like, oh, well, now we got to give you this bottom surgery when you're like 17, 18, whatever it is then. There was a thing back in the day in like the 50s and 60s. It was, I'm going to say it's called Thuramide. I could be wrong about the name of how it's pronounced, but basically, if you ever watch Call the Midwife, because it was talked about in that show, actually, there was like a whole, I think it was like multiple episodes of it actually talked about that. And essentially what it was is it was supposed to be a morning sickness drug back in the day. The problem is the makers of this shit knew for a fact that it had serious health effects and serious health problems for any mothers that were given it, and their babies would come out deformed and stuff like that. Yet they still kept it on the market for well over a decade after that, until so many people had children with birth defects that they finally had to be like, oh shit, we got to pull this now. Even though they could have pulled it like to begin with and not been a bunch of greedy profiteering assholes. And you wouldn't have had a bunch of kids with permanent deformities is what it is. And that's the thing. When you go back to that particular drug and you're talking about these kids now with these, bottom surgeries and top surgeries and everything else like that, it's the exact same shit nowadays. It is just the deformities of a new version of a drug now. Except in this case, the drug is basically indoctrination. It's being indoctrinated by sick-ass adults who are obviously child molesters, or if they're not child molesters, they're definitely child molesting enablers is what it is. Because they're enabling these kids to be preyed upon by people who actually are child molesters then. And the problem with that whole thing is when you're doing it for other reasons like cash grabs like the Jennings family did, you should be in jail on so many different things right now. And what's even more fucked up to me is, because Tim Pool and a lot of people like that, a lot of the larger YouTubers here like to always show that video clip of Jazz Jennings basically doing the whole thing and saying, oh, I put the dilator thing and put the lube on it for Jazz to do and stuff like that, and I would have had to do it for her. And it's like always repeating that clip. Well, they never talk about his other clips from that show, like within the next, I think it was season or so, where Jeanette herself admitted to being abused as a child by her mother and having like serious weight loss issues. And of course, what do? You take your fucked up mental problems and you put them on your youngest son that you now turn into a daughter. And you wonder why that kid has fucking serious mental issues right now. And then meanwhile, you got the grandmother who did this to the mother. She's all fucked in the head too. And you got grandpa's ass over there fucking being like, oh, it's so good, Jazz. You got into Harvard on your fucking diversity hire shit. Fuck all that, dude. This whole family's a bunch of sick fucks, dude. I'll tell you what. And I think the worst one of all of them is the father, Greg, honestly. because this cuck motherfucker sat back and took his greedy ass, get that money grubbing ass there, and let his fucking 6-year-old son, motherfucker, be having his puberty blocked forever. How the fuck are these people not in federal prison right now, or at least state prison in the state of Florida right now, dude? Why the fuck has Ron DeSantis in the past 4 years not done his fucking job as governor there and brought fucking charges against the Jennings family right now, dude, for child abuse on it and then some? Because every single one of these people, Jazz's mother, Jazz's father, Jazz's grandmother, Jazz's grandfather, should all be in a fucking prison cell right now. And then Jazz themselves should be too at this point, because they, in the past couple seasons now, of that stupid-ass TLC series should have been canceled, which, by the way, all the producers and shit of that show should also be in federal prison right now as well on top of that, for that shit, because you're pushing this child abuse on other kids now. But you have fucking Jazz coming out of the woodwork and being like, oh, DeSantis's Don't Say Gay bill. We should totally indoctrinate kids everywhere with my gay-ass book. And that's what they were basically saying, the fucking bullshit-ass book they wrote for children that talks about transgenderism, which, should, by the way, should be permanently banned in every single school across the nation right now. This motherfucker was talking about basically forcing in DEI, essentially, or CRT, or whatever we call it there, where it's like diversity, equity, inclusion crap now, which is what the new version of CRT is now. It was basically forcing that shit into schools, into K-12, all the way across the board, and basically forcing teachers who may or may not want to do this shit to read your stupid ass books to little kids is what it is, and do all kinds of other sick shit. And it's like, my God, bro, these people are the wannabe Hitlers of the fucking current generations, dude. They are the wannabe Nazi motherfuckers right now. They are the wannabe Stalins. They are the wannabe Maos. They are the wannabe dictators of our current generations in this country. They're the people who, if they ever do amass some kind of a massive power, they're going to be the ones that will legitimately go full Hitler and send the rest of us off to death camps and shit. And it's like, good luck with that, bitches. There's a reason why we have the Second Amendment by birthright in this country right now. And it's to stop motherfuckers like that from ever assuming power. It's to stop fucking tyranny from ever taking over in any form or fashion. Which, unfortunately, a lot of it already has, in many cases. You know, we look back at the 2020 lockdowns, what did they do? You had a bunch of governors, you had a bunch of sitting politicians, etc., congressmen, senators, whatever the case be, grabbing for more power, never letting the reins go, you know? It's like good old Rahm Emanuel said back in the day, never let a good crisis go to waste. And they never have. They never ever have. They never will. And that's the problem, dude. You have these individuals who just want power and just want to lord power over everyone else right now. And those are the worst people to have power, because they're the narcissistic assholes. They are the people with serious mental health issues that, honestly, in many cases, should be in rubber rooms right now. Legitimately. They should be in a straitjacket in a rubber room someplace in a state hospital. But why don't we have state hospitals anymore? Oh, yeah, that's right. Some fucking douchebag in Reagan's administration did away with them back in the 80s. Instead of actually revamping them to better conditions and stuff like that. No, let's just get rid of them across the board. And now you wonder why you have places like San Francisco, California, that are both junkie central and open air markets for insanity, of just crazy people running around doing drugs and then being all crazy and having like knife fights and machete fights and shit like that is what it is. With each other or random strangers or whatever it is there. So, yeah, it's a bunch of shit, man. Just to be clear, I do want to clear something up on that one that I mentioned a couple minutes ago there. Just to be clear on everything I said in the past couple minutes here, that is, by the way, I'll cover under freedom of speech and the press for that matter. I am not threatening anyone in that situation when it comes to Second Amendment stuff. What I'm simply talking about is our founding fathers gave us the Second Amendment for a reason, and it was to stop tyrannical government overreach. And it's as simple as that. And there happen to be people that I discussed in this episode so far that happen to be going towards that exact thing is what it is. It's for the American people to protect themselves against individuals doing dictator style shit is what it is, legitimately. And it's as simple as that. You know? It's for us to have protections against a tyrannical government, period. So, anyway. That being said, just to make sure we're having that all cleared up so that nobody ever tries to knock on my door again is what it is, you know. Gotta worry about that shit, unfortunately, all the time now. But anywho. The whole point I'm trying to make is, though, is that you have a bunch of people who don't care about rights, don't care about freedoms, and just want to grab for power, just want to grab for money. Same exact thing that we're seeing federally with the pure greed of a lot of big pharma right now, where you have big pharmaceutical companies realizing, hey, we can have a lifetime patient with this kid, just, you know, do whatever to them. And now they're on our drugs forever, and now they're on this drug forever, and now they have to do all the kinds of surgeries forever is what it is. And now they're on, you know, various insurance companies forever and stuff like that. And now we can make insurance money off of them and everything else like that. And that's what it is at the end of the day. It's pure greed by a lot of sick-ass motherfuckers who should not have medical licenses in this country ever again. And it's a bunch of greedy-ass people across the board in the medical industry who are perfectly fine with allowing a small child who does not have the mental capacity to make a decision for themselves to basically be forced to do that stuff by their sick-ass adult parent in most cases, usually mothers in most cases, what it is, because they're the ones that tend to have the Munchausen syndrome by proxy in a lot of cases there. So you have these mentally ill females who have had a child, might not have been the child they wanted, gender-wise, or maybe it was, but now it's like, oh, it's the cool thing to, you know, gender swap your kid, essentially is what it is. Oh, we can have a reality TV series off of this. Oh, we can do this, we can do that. Oh, they're going to be accepted by everybody. And now you got them doing all kinds of crazy shit, dude. Hell, there was a march in Boston yesterday where it was it was somebody's sign. It was a small child, by the way, too. I think what it was is that they were supposed to be a biological male that was now living the life as a female. Maybe it was a biological female that was now living the life as a male. I'm not sure which one it was. But their sign basically read, "A boy without a penis is like an angel without its wings." And it's like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck kind of fucked up mentality shit is that? And by the way, that particular march was about trans shit is what it was, dude. It was like Trans Day of Visibility or some crap like that is what it was there. And it's like, bro, y'all are fucked in the head. And I'm not saying that kid is fucked in the head. Well, they kind of are, probably is what it is now with their indoctrinating parents and teachers and stuff like that. But it's the adults in that kid's life that are fucked in the head right now. Because it was obviously not that kid that would have wrote that shit to begin with if they weren't like hardcore indoctrinated into some fucked up leftist bullshit right now in this cult that is the left right now. And I'm going to call it what it is, dude. You know, and that's the thing that's fucked up, right, too. There's supposed to be a separation of church and state, right? But yet the left now has made its own cultish religion around the LGBTQ flags and stuff like that they're now pushing as this kind of left, you know, religious fucking symbology shit is what it is now. And yet it's not being smacked the fuck down as separation of church and state now, which is what it should be. But yet, meanwhile, God forbid, you got somebody saying a Christian prayer in some fucking school board before a meeting or whatever the case be. And, oh my God, people find offense with that. Or it's the choir that went to the Washington, D.C. this week and was singing the national anthem. And, oh, it might offend some people. Who? Some Islamic terrorists who shouldn't be sitting in Congress right now? Those people, maybe? The Ilhan Omars and Rashad Tlaibs of America? Etc., etc.? Is that what you're talking about, motherfucking Capitol cops? Fucking scumbags. The only good thing Kevin McCarthy did in his entire tenure right now was basically invite those people back to the Capitol to sing again. So, anyway. But yeah, going back to the whole Jazz Jennings thing there. The kid's fucked in the head, man. They have been forever in their life. And so is their family. Their family's all fucked up. They keep pushing this shit onto more and more generations of kids. TLC is complacent in this whole thing as criminals as well, because they keep renewing this stupid fucking series for more seasons every go around, because they know it's going to make them money. And actually, this is a fucked up one I heard recently. It was one of the Duggar girls' husbands. I forget which one. It was one of the older ones. He actually, I guess some years back now, like 5-6 years ago, whatever it was, maybe 7 years now, so it'd be like 2016 to 18, somewhere in there, he basically came out and was saying some stuff about, like, yeah, you know, Jazz Jennings is clearly mentally ill, their parents are all fucked up, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of stuff I've been saying right now, actually, is what it is. And TLC immediately told him, get the fuck out. You're not allowed to be part of the 19 Kids and Counting shows anymore. And he hasn't been since then. Because they would rather take profit of the bullshit I Am Jazz series over actual sane, intelligent men telling you what the fuck's going on and why it shouldn't be allowed. And that's the problem with TLC, a channel that used to be called the Learning Channel, by the way. You ain't learning shit from that channel anymore, dude. What it is now, it's a bunch of whoredom, is what it actually is. It's a bunch of fucking scumbaggery, and it basically falls in the DEI category. It's the diversity, equity, inclusion bullshit now. Where it's like, you got I Am Jazz over here, you got that fucking, what is that, Doubling Down with the Dorico show now, which, by the way, pushed BLM terrorism quite a bit in the one season of that fucking series. It should have been canceled immediately based on that alone in 2020. You had that bullshit be passed there. Then you got fucking, what's the other ones? 90 Day Fiancé crap. You got the fucking, what was that one more recently? MILF Manor, aka Horror Island, where it was a bunch of fucking late 40s, early 50s women banging a bunch of dudes who were each other's sons who were in their fucking early 20s. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. There's some other ones too on there that I can't think of offhand, but yeah, it's mostly just trash, honestly. Or it's like that one. What's that one? There's another one too with the real fat bitch is what it is on that one. Who's all like, oh, y'all are fat phobic and fat acceptance, and I'm fat. And I think she had a fucking stroke, if I'm not mistaken, the last season of that show because she was so overweight. And it's like, that's the whole point, lady. You know? That's what it causes. It causes an early grave. You can't run around, 300, 400, 500 pounds and think it's not going to cause health issues. And I say that as a guy who is in the 4 bill category myself. I'm a big boy here, man. I've actually lost over 100 pounds about 10 years, in the past 10 years, actually, and I've kept that off since then. It was mostly by cutting out a lot of fast food shit from my diet, which I haven't eaten most of that in the last decade or so. So, anyway. But yeah, that being said, yeah, Jazz Jennings, the Jennings family, all of them need to be brought up. Grandparents too, on a bunch of charges of child abuse, of child neglect, of child endangerment, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing with TLC. Same thing with Jazz's cousin, who is supposed to be their fucking therapist. That person needs to be disbarred, or not disbarred. They need to be a medical license stripped on the spot right now is what it is. You should never be allowing someone like that to, well, first of all, there needs to be a law in the books anyway in all 50 states right now to where if you have direct ties, where it's like family ties, like a first cousin, second cousin, whatever it is, or like, family member, whatever it is there, no, you cannot be their fucking therapist. And the fact that it was this piece of shit that was like the main one that allowed for the certificates and stuff like that for Jazz to get the fucking bottom surgeries and stuff to begin with is absolute bullshit in of itself too. And it's like, how is that not medical fraud, dude? Seriously, it's absolute insanity. It's like everybody's taking crazy pills and the only ones that, come off crazy then are the sane people. I don't know. I just feel like every day that goes by anymore, though, we're just heading just one step closer, maybe 10 steps closer anymore, to something popping off. Civil war, balkanization, revolution, whatever the fuck it is. Probably all of them at some point. Great Depression obviously is going to happen somewhere in there, I'm guessing. Black Swan events like that is what it'll be. And it's not going to be good, man. It's not going to be good for America. Not going to be good for the American people. And unfortunately, I think there's going to be a lot of people who don't make it because of that. There's going to be a lot of people who do not make it because they don't have skill sets at all right now. Because they want to push gender identity crap as their whole fucking mindset. Instead of actually living life legitimately as whatever gender. And just going about their day and learning things. Instead they'll go out there and do speaking engagements and push more crap is what it is. And have no real benefit to society at all is what it is there. But yet, because the way that the left controls the media and everything else like that, they're being risen to this fucked up platform of like, oh, you must put these people on a pedestal and never say anything bad about them. Fuck that, man. Fuck that shit. I will say any damn thing I want about them because I have the freedom of fucking speech of the First Amendment of the Constitution and the freedom of press of that to say what the fuck I want to say. And that's all I'm just about at the end of the day. So, yeah. Jazz's entire family belongs in federal prison. At bare minimum, Florida State Prison. And it's time for DeSantis to actually do his job as governor there. And bring up charges on these fucking people. And go down the line from there is what it is, dude. Same thing with all these teachers that are pushing this shit on kids now. Fire their asses, charge them criminally, and it's going to stop real quick is what it is. And until we start doing that as a nation, nothing's going to change. Until we start charging these insurrectionist pieces of shit that have been doing insurrections all fucking year in multiple state houses across this country with the crimes they're committing right now, nothing's ever going to change. It's time to bring the fucking hammer down on these fucking people with the letter of the law and bring back law and order to our nation. And it starts by actually getting rid of the fucking oath-breaking pieces of shit that have defied their constitutional oaths to office as politicians. Kick them the fuck out, charge them criminally, and do what needs to be done there. And it's as simple as that, really. That's pretty much all we got to say for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will be back later tonight, about 6 hours or so, with Honda and Company on Rumble there. We'll talk a lot more about this topic as well on that, probably. I'll hopefully try to bring it up anyway if we can get into that conversation. And yeah, we can be a lot more free over there is what it is. We can actually show, photos and stuff over there that we can't show here on YouTube without risking strikes and stuff. So anyway, and other than that though, that's it for the day. I'll be back. Like I said, I'll be back later with them guys, and I'll be back probably tomorrow or the next day with something else then, hopefully. If nothing else, if this account ever does go down, check out our Twitter account. Same thing, Ohio Patriot Education Network. At Ohio Patriot Ed is what it is. And we'll be doing updates on there all the time. We also have Facebook stuff. We haven't done a group on Facebook yet, but we do have like personal accounts on there. So, or if nothing else, go to the Discord. If you're on NEA's Discord and stuff like that, you'll find me on there all the time. Same thing with Honda's. Or if you know those guys' Discords in general, just ask them who I am on there. I'm going to the same moniker as what it is underneath them. That Discord thing there. So anyway, like I said though, that's about it for today. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I will see you all in the next one.